All right, here for the daily with Daniel. Have you voted today, Dan?
Voted.
Very good.
Not with an enormous amount of pleasure, but also with quite some pleasure, I would say.
Yeah.
In that voting Tories out will forever give me pleasure, but I can't say I vibe with what Keir Starmer stands for, particularly.
No.
But it will be better. And it will be better for the most vulnerable people. It won't be as good as it could be or should be, but it will be better. And the absolute disgrace that has been made. I mean, it was not like the country was in this tremendous place beforehand, let's be real. But if you think about what was going on in 2010 and what's happened since then, just the absolute disgrace of it all. Even if you forget Brexit, which you can't, the fact that they start this national fissure, or they widen this, the fissure exists, okay, but they make it into a thing that everyone knows about. Suddenly everyone is exploiting in order to settle their internecine dispute.
Yeah.
Because it was wasn't about Brexit, really. Wasn't about the country, it was about the Tory party. It was about Cameron trying to shut up the headbangers and doing so in the most basic way imaginable. It would have been absolutely fine if you'd have not had a referendum, you'd have been fine. But it also would have been fine if it says, well, have a referendum, but you need 75% to win it because it's such a big change.
Or even demand of the Leave side that they define what it is everyone's talking about. They didn't do it once. I mean, like the most basic facile shite possible. And the damage caused to the country will take decades to rectify. Anyway, this is a show about football, not about politics, but good for you. I got disenfranchised again. Because it's the third year in a row, because they won't send out paper ballots before 15 days before an election. They never arrive on time. And so I got a proxy this time, and that didn't arrive either. So thanks, Camden Council.
Oh. Get in touch with the Chartists.
Yeah.
Vote fair. Ed must have a vote. Let's interrupt. Let's interrupt things.
It's Independence Day here in the US.
You've got your USA 94 show.
And I did this just for Independence Day. It is an absolute horrendous. Who do you think of? Because I think of Alexei Lalas, that
same. Lalas.
Ginger, balding twat, because he is an absolute twat.
He's become now one of the worst people in football.
Yeah, genuinely, he's awful. He's genuinely awful. But anyway, so I thought I'd wear this.
I was doing a live blog the other day. We were discussing quality of commentators and stuff. And because I always say this, that maybe it's just because I'm old, but it doesn't, and football's on TV the whole time, whereas when I was a kid, it wasn't. But I just not having that there's anyone who's remotely as good as Brian Moore, John Moxton, or Barry Davies anymore. And that's
Golden
even before
age.
we go with your Peter Brackley's, who was also excellent. Your Martin Tyler's at his peak, excellent. Yeah. Your Tony Gubbers. All these guys, I think one of the things that they brought was personality. And I don't think you get that of any of the guys now. You just get idiocy. Apart from Peter Drury, who is just, trying so hard he's going to give himself an aneurysm.
I know, it feels too much. I mean, I actually like, over here on Fox coverage is generally awful of the Euros and Copa America. I mean, it's beyond bad, but we do have Derek Ray.
Excellent.
And Ian Darke, who's not bad either, you know?
I mean, he's more for me the boxing on Radio 2. And that voice, but to finish the thought, when we were having this conversation, I got several emails from the US saying, "Fucking Alexei Lalas." Not that I am fucking Alexei Lalas. That wasn't what these people were saying, but like a lot of emails about Alexei Lalas.
Man, all right. Talking of someone orange, Erik Ten Hag. Sorry, that's an awful segue. Erik Ten Hag, not literally orange, Dutch. Has been given a new contract, although strictly speaking, it's actually they've triggered the 1-year extension, so no change to the terms and conditions. I don't know about you, but my initial reaction was, well, this is basically probation. Like
it was probation anyway.
Yeah.
I think we all know that if United had lost the cup final, he'd have got fired, and also if there had been an obvious excellent successor, he'd have also got fired regardless of the cup final. So even if they give him more time. If it's rubbish in November, he's done. Yeah. But their ideal when they took over was not keeping him.
Yeah, I mean that seems pretty clear, and they of course had to spin it as he's the best choice, and he has to spin it as I'm the best choice in order that everyone's on board. And the players have to be on board as well. They have to know that he's around and that them behaving like dickheads and slacking off next season is going to see them out the door. And it may well be, I mean, reports today that Marcus Rashford, again, there, because of the breakdown in the relationship between him and Ten Hag, they may be looking to offload him. But that's a topic for another day, maybe. But with Ten Hag, yeah, I mean, I fully agree. He's under pressure anyway because of what happened last season, and the bank of credit he got from his first season in charge is now withered away. And the first defeat, just watch what happens. It's going to be absolute carnage, right? Like the headlines, the cracked badges, the millions of numpties on Twitter. He's going to be under serious and immediate pressure if it doesn't turn around. And yeah, we'll see. But anyway, another year, 2026 and 2025. There probably will be a few candidates in the offing.
Football, it's hard football. And you're manager of Man United, you'll always be under pressure. I feel absolutely no sympathy for him there. And I think actually they were sort of able to spin the whole review thing because it's not hard to understand. If you spend £5 billion or something, you might want your own personnel, or you might want to investigate your options as to who might run it. So I think for his ego, he was sort of able to tolerate that, because ultimately it's keeping the job's better than getting sacked, ego-wise, reputation-wise, and you won the cup. So I don't feel sorry for him. I do worry about the players that I'm seeing us trying to sign, because it feels a little bit like it's going to be more of the same. That if let's say we end up with the Dest and Ugarte, you're getting box defender and sitter stopper. So it feels still like there might be quite a large hole in the middle of the pitch, and it still feels like our centre backs will be easily accessible. So if that is the case, I don't feel very confident that he's going to make it much longer. Even if we have a few more players, it's hard to see it getting good enough without a change of style.
Yeah, well, and what good enough is may change again, because although I think Ratcliffe has been fairly clear, it's a kind of 3-year program to get back to the top. The baseline should not be, well, last season was terrible, so anything better than that is all right. It's first season, third, a cup victory and a cup final. That's your baseline. And it really should start improving from there. Otherwise, like, what happened last season, right?
Well,
like the excuse of it was injuries, mate, won't hold, will it?
It won't hold this season again. But I don't think it's totally unreasonable to say, well, 2 steps forward, 1 step back might happen when you're trying to build. I think that happened to Klopp. And if you're trying to build without proper funds as well, which he is. But what do you make of the veto and transfers?
Yeah, I mean, I guess this is basically the way that most leading clubs work, right? They're not going to impose a player on a manager who really, really doesn't want him. So, like, if Ancelotti had turned around and said, "No, I don't want Mbappe," that fella's no good. then I don't imagine Real Madrid would have imposed him on them, although transfers and transfer policy is very much directed from the sporting director and the president. So I think the balance is all right. What I don't like is veto on transfers plus we're just going to buy whoever you want, like whoever the Dutch guy is that you want. Like that can't be it. That clearly there has to be the committee system where it's Ten Hag, recruitment department, technical director, Christopher Vell, and everyone's working in unison with Ashworth, pulling the strings in some way to make everyone work in unison. That has got to be it. Got to make fewer mistakes. I mean, it's been said over and over again, right? From Ratcliffe in every interview talks about it. Got to make fewer mistakes in the transfer market. It's just too critical. So yeah, if that fundamentally has changed and everyone is yeah, Ugarte's the man, then I'll go with that, probably above the 1,000 tactical accounts on Twitter are going, it's not really the man.
Yeah, I agree. I think that a veto on transfers, depending on the nature of it, does make sense. He's the manager. He's got to want the player. And he's got to be involved in that process. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's fair. That he's got to be involved in the process, and he's got to have he's got to have the players that he wants. But I agree that the whole point of getting these other guys in is that they're the guys doing the talent ID and scouting. And they're then able to say, we will get you this kind of player, but it won't be him because he's not good enough. It will be him.
Yeah.
The problem you have then is, where's Jason Wilcox come from? Is he someone with any kind of track record in finding the kind of value that we're looking for? And what are we really looking for? We're looking for underpriced world-class talent.
Yeah. No, he's not at all, right?
And maybe he's good at it. Maybe he's good at it. Maybe they've got good scouts. Maybe Ashworth's got good connections. But at the end of the day, someone is deciding, probably Wilcox in the first instance at least, we have to get sign off from the others, but it's his job to find the players that will make us better. And he might be the person to do it, but we don't know any evidence that he's the man to do it, really.
No, we don't. I suspect that's why they brought Vivell in as well, because he's the man who does a lot of the deal making, deal execution stuff, and that really does matter in this. Having the connections, being able to call up the right agents, right presidents of whatever club you're trying to work with, and get the players you need. So that's his job, I think, and we'll see whether that becomes a long-term thing. I think technical director is to create some consistency through age groups, teams, squad management, squad planning, I think. So talent identification is part of that, sort of in a kind of holistic picture, I think. Not having done that job, that's just, don't know. But look, at least it feels like we're in a situation where there's a better chance of getting it right than Ed Woodward, meeting over dinner with some agent and going, we'll have Radamel Falcao.
That's sort of true. I would blame Van Gaal for Falcao. That's sort of true. But in theory, if you bust loads of money on a player, you should be getting someone really good. And then it becomes a question of, are they the right player? Whereas at the moment, we're trying to spend as little as possible, getting someone as good as possible. And then that becomes about getting the right player, but also trying to find where the value is.
Yeah. And finding value. Even during the days of Fergie, when he was going on about there's no value in the market, he was buying Gabriel Obertan and Michael Owen and
the boy Mammy Juve,
and Bebe and stuff like that. Dearie me.
Nick
so
Powell.
Oh god, Nick Powell for Matter.
Yeah, and Butner.
Did anyone get sent to The Hague for that?
Well, we signed Butner. I got messaged by someone on Twitter who I never heard of, never interacted with before, not even sure if he followed me, just to go, by the way, just so you know, Butner's shit.
Nice.
Scored on his debut, didn't he?
Absolute hammer of a left foot. Nothing else about him at all. Yeah. Where is he, by the way? No idea. Is he still playing? Anyway, look, it's interesting. I think I said before they had to give him a new contract. It's interesting they've gone down the route of just triggering an extension rather than long-term, another 4-year deal or something like that. But without that, he'd have been a lame duck immediately. And so release the players can go, well, there's 2 years out of my career if I behave like a dickhead right now. So, I'm sure Jadon Sancho's on the phone to his agent going, help. And by the way, I got reminded, I literally had forgotten this player existed. I got reminded today that Donny van der Beek still plays for Manchester United. So he's due back in training in 4 days' time. And he was so bad at Frankfurt last season that they didn't execute a €9 million buy option. 9 million euros you can find down the back of a sofa. And they still wouldn't buy him. So, Christ, they might have to just pay him off and let him go on a free. Deary me. We can't blame that one on Van Gaal. Erik ten Hag.
Goodness me, what a state of affairs.
What a state of affairs, yeah. So, training in 4 days' time, in which we'll see quite a few of the players back, I guess, because everyone will be given at least 3 weeks off, so Portugal, English players still out, and we haven't got any French players, we haven't got any German players, we haven't got any Spanish players. A few at Copa America, Pelistri and Garnacho. That's it. Everyone else can be back. in a few days' time. So yeah, work starts again.
Okay. I guess at least it's not Gareth Southgate.
At least it's not Gareth bloody Southgate. What it won't be, before we go, to round off our conversation, 250 people at Manchester United have been made redundant. They're all on normal people wages. It's going to save the club a few million a year, low single digit, few million a year. And it's a quarter of the workforce at United. I mean, we've said it again and again. Ratcliffe's not a nice fella, and he's doing Ratcliffe type stuff here. So, a word for those people. I feel deeply sorry for them. Most of these people are not the people that fucked up again and again and again.
And it's just that classic what happens in acquisitions. Like someone gets in and they're like, right, who can I fire? Where can I cut costs? And this is it. The thing is, obviously, with the football club, you have massive costs, and then you have these costs. And it just doesn't seem like a good place to start. Just let people eat.
Yeah. Well, Erik can eat fine on his £7.5 million a year wages, so maybe he could donate some of that. Just a thought. I know that never happens. All right, we'll leave it there. Back again tomorrow. I'm talking to the guys at Barmy Army about the women's team, and I guess we'll catch you again next week as well. Bye now.